This episode of Jocks and Jills is brought to you by our friends at Shark Ninja. And Tessa, you want to talk a little bit about your air fryer today because you have totally become an air fryer lady because of Ninja Kitchen.
Absolutely. And I feel like it's catching wind. So my mother-in-law, Linda, avid listener. Love you, Linda. Thank you for tuning in every week.
Hey, Linda.
Yeah. So she heard me talking about, well, as well as my father-in-law, Dan, the wings that have been cooked in said air fryer. And they're like, we were over for Sunday dinner, family dinner at Linda's house, which is fantastic. I love it. Always fills my heart. And Dan's like, when you having us over for some wings? Like, I want those wings. I have not stopped thinking about your air fryer wings. And I was like, oh, Dan wants in on the wings. So I showed him a picture of some of the wings that I whipped up in my air fryer. And I guess now, probably on Sunday, my entire family on Ed's side's gonna come over for some wings.
Nice. But man, amazing.
You have them once out of the air fryer, you won't have them any other way. Let me tell you, these things, and the sauce matters. You obviously have to sauce them up properly if you're saucy. For people that aren't saucy, I do have a little bit of a hack for you. So if you melt a little bit of butter, Julia, and then sprinkle in like some Cajun spice or whatever, and then toss the wings in that, glorious.
Whoa.
There's a little trick for you. I know. I'm really addicted to air frying. So yeah. I was expecting a lot more people to send in some like good air fryer tips and stuff. I feel like I haven't got much, but
yeah, fire them our way, guys.
Luckily, the internet's got a lot for you. There's a lot of learning to be had on air frying. And I saw this wicked hack about how you can make a ton of pancakes, which I haven't done yet. So I feel like brunch is going to be, yes, Julia. I know. I'll send it to you. It's wild. And I'm going to do it and I will post about it because who doesn't like pancakes?
Yes. Okay. We need to see that. Keep us updated. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring Jocks and Jills. Shark Ninja is a proud founding partner of the PWHL, presenting sponsor here at Jocks and Jills. Okay. Episode 34, Jocks and Jills. Tessa, how we doing? You're on the road this week. Tell us.
I am. Oh, you noticed my background, did you?
Not this week. I guess this Friday.
Yeah. I'm on the road regardless. I'm in Halifax on the East Coast. Everybody knows how much I love my time. Everybody knows how much I love my time on the East Coast. And I'm excited. I'm here for the Canadian Progress Club Halifax Sports Dinner. This event is always a huge event. This is actually the first year I heard that it's a true sellout. Every single ticket has been purchased. Like 1,300 plus people, Julia. And I got word last night that Nathan McKinnon had reached out and was like, I need 2 tickets. Yeah, can you please, are there any that you can put aside for me? And he got the last 2. So whoever he is sending to this event, they are literally like in the back corner with the last 2 tickets. 1,300 plus people at this event.
Wow.
It's run 100% by volunteers, the Canadian Progress Club, and 100% of the proceeds go to support various charities to help individuals with intellectual disabilities. So on this trip is myself, our buddy Rod Black, whom...
Nice.
We've got nothing but love for this guy, Rod Black. If anybody's out there and is like planning on throwing an event and they need an MC, Julia and I can vouch for this. There is no better MC. And actually, if you want a duo, Rod Black and Jennifer Hedger.
Wow, that would be epic.
Dude,
I've never seen Jen do a live event before. Obviously, I've seen her be the best SportsCenter host in the country for the last...
in the world.
However many years. I've never seen her do like a live emceeing event. I have seen Rod Black do an event and I was like moved. I think of emceeing, and you and I were talking about this yesterday. Sometimes I think of emceeing as kind of a throwaway thing. And I've been guilty of hosting like that. And I saw him MC an event and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to rethink everything I've ever done when I'm in front of people because he's so captivating. He's so good. I'm so pumped that you get to see him tonight.
The best part is like, he truly was built for it. Like he loves it. Like he creates fake text change between people in and around the room. He's got like, usually when you're emceeing, you're like, there's going to be people talking and drinking or whatever. So there's probably only about 60% of the people listening to me.
You're like, okay, I don't want to bother anyone. I just want to get on, get off, say my piece. And he makes the event with his work.
It's like stand-up comedy, but like not stand-up comedy. Do you know what I mean? He knows how to like let's say something gets a little dark or something gets off track. Like he really knows how to rein it back in, make a lighthearted joke and carry right on. Like he is the best. So Rod Black, everybody, and Jennifer Hedger, if you're looking for a duo, those are your two that you're getting because there is no one 100%. Better in North America. Worldwide, I feel like there is no one better as a host than Rod Black. And like, truly, I'd like to see him host like a big award thing. And I know they always go with like the major celebrities and whatnot, but I feel like Blackie's just built for it. Anyways, I'm so pumped for tonight. I want to see what he's got in store. There's him, myself, the two boys from Spit and Chicklets and Biz and Ryan Whitney. And who else? Jeremy Roenick. So as well as several special Olympians. So it's going to be a really special, awesome evening. It's a whole day, by the way. We're doing a whole day of stuff, hanging out, having some fun. So I'm excited it's the East Coast too. And on my ride here, the casino's just up the road from my hotel. So I'm going to go see if they got any craps tables open during my 2 hours of downtime. Maybe throw some dice. I don't know. It won't be the same without you guys and Piper now. I'll see how I
was just going to say, like, how do you shoot craps without Sherry Piper? I don't know.
I know.
I couldn't do it.
It's not the same experience.
You're just as, I have full faith in you. If there's anyone I have faith in going into a random casino by herself and running the table, it's you, my friend. So Godspeed.
Thanks, man. What's up with you?
Yeah, I told you a little bit last night. Had a little bit of a weird one last night. I don't even know how to tell this story on this podcast. Little ears, maybe like do some skipping forward because I like don't know how to tell this story in a perfect way. So
my
if you
nephew,
have small ears, under 19 ears, just like skip a little bit forward. Okay, bye. See you guys in a second. Last night I got home. I was at the Scepters New York games, and Enzo is just Enzo is like the sweetest little dog. And he's always so excited and he's always so happy and he's just the best. I get home from the Scepters Sirens game and he's happy to see me when I get home, except he like usually jumps off the couch. He's always chilling on the couch when I get home. Usually hops off the couch, comes right to see me. Mm-hmm. This time he like gets really excited, pees a bit, kind of flops onto the couch and like wags his tail more. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's weird. He piddled. He gets like excited peas sometimes because he's still a puppy, but this was weird. Yeah. Like, he was laying on the couch. I'm like, bro, what's going on? So immediately I start panicking. Like, I'm not taking this well at all. I'm like, something's wrong with the dog. He's had some sort of neurological breakdown. He's not okay. He's like slumped on my leg, laying on me like this. And he's like, just like staring at me. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? He's got this little head wiggle going on. I freak out. I bring him to an emergency vet. The vet takes one look at me. No, the vet didn't even take a look at me. The receptionist took one look at me and my little wiener dog. It wasn't even the vet, it was the receptionist. She's like, is there any chance that this dog could have ingested marijuana? I'm like, I live downtown Toronto. I walk this dog 3 times a day. The whole city smells like weed and poop. Like probably there's a chance he ate a roach or something like that. I don't know. I'm thinking if it could have been anything in my condo. And she's like, yeah, he looks like he could have. We get this a lot. It looks like it's that. Take a seat. We'll take a look at the dog. Really nice vet comes out about 10 minutes later. She tells me my dog's stoned as hell.
Come on.
I paid $200 because my dog's a little stoner. I feel terrible about that. Like, I'm telling this story as a joke right now. I'm honestly really embarrassed about this. No one call PETA on me. I like my animals so much. I'm a good dog mom. I really do try. We get home from the vet. We're just like playing Snoop Dogg the whole way home. We're like, Enzo's gonna eat his kibble. Then he got we're just now it's a little bit funny, but at the same time I feel terrible because poor Enzo doesn't know why he feels this way.
Yeah.
He lays,
is he okay?
He just gets it. He's totally fine now. He did sleep under the bed, which was really weird. He was like a university kid that was too stoned and got scared and slept under the bed. Anyways, this is really off the rails. I'm completely sorry. Guys, I love my dog so much. I feel so bad that this happened to him. I have no choice but to laugh now at how ridiculous the whole situation was. But he's doing totally fine now. So again, nobody call PETA on me. I do my best. I'm a good dog mom. I swear. I was very scared by this.
I'm glad my nephew's okay. Got to keep an eye on that dog. Running with the wrong crowd, clearly.
I guess it's early. It's so good it happens early. Now he'll know for college not to take it too far.
Yeah. Know your limits. Stay within it. He was probably craving some. He probably had like the munchies pretty bad. He was probably looking at you like,
my gosh.
Hey, about that free delivery.
This was like the funniest
about.
part of the whole thing because I'm calling my mom on the way to the vet and I'm obviously hysterical and my mom's like talking me off the ledge. She's like, stuff happens. They get sore tummies. They get out of sorts. And I texted her what happened when I got to the vet and she says, oh, like that's best case scenario probably because the vet said it's okay. Just need some fluids, a little bit of anti-nausea stuff. And probably best case scenario, what are the next steps? And Liam texts back in the group chat, I think some snacks, LOL. And my mom just thought it was the funniest text that she had ever received. Okay, guys, sorry for telling that a little bit rated R off the rails story, but I could not bring it to the podcast because the vet was like, this happens. People feel really bad about it. It's kind of out there. People drop their stuff on the streets a lot. Like, I guess it happens.
And dogs are dogs. They eat everything. My gosh.
That's where I'm at with parenting. That's where I'm at with parenting right now. We also owe another couple. I guess that's my public apology to my dog and to dog parents everywhere. I need to be publicly shamed a little bit.
No,
my other public apology we need to issue is to everyone who was on the Northeastern team the year that they lost to Wisconsin in the finals in 2021 when Daryl got that overtime winner. She was on the podcast last week. There's been great response to that interview, but a lot of responses to that clip that we cut online where we put that goal, like the Northeastern girls were messaging us being like, why would you do this? I've tried to forget this for the last many years of my life. I thought I put this behind me and you put it on my Instagram on a goddamn Tuesday morning. Like, come on.
Dude, I know and I get it. And in watching that video, I didn't realize that Megan Carter was the defender. And I'm like, oh, they're teammates now. And it's like, that for sure is not spoken of. Not a word is breathed
Daryl's
about
too cool.
that moment
No
or
one's
that game.
bringing that up.
No, she didn't even mention her by name. And it was likely out of respect and love because they're teammates now. Daryl had herself a time, by the way. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, that was, look, there can only be one winner in the end. Am I right?
Oh, yeah. It's so hard. Overtime, the margins are so small. It's heartbreaking, but I can understand why it still haunts us Northeastern girls. Yeah. So I'm sorry to them. We love you all. Was hilarious that we had Frankel on and Daryl on back to back. We did not mean to do that. We would like
not
to say
at
that.
all.
We schedule interviews where we can. It was a happy coincidence.
Yeah.
Content wise. Love you guys. Frankel, Daryl, you guys are all the best. We appreciate you guys coming on and being such good sports. Let's get to what's going on this week in the PWHL. But before that, 2 chances this week, Tessa, to use code PWHLDEL for free delivery this weekend. Ottawa plays New York Saturday. That is a huge game. And Toronto's in Montreal on Sunday. You and I used it yesterday when we were hanging out. Shot our pizza ad, guys. Give that a like on Instagram. We put our hearts and souls into that pizza ad. And so did our very lovely pizza delivery driver. Remember, anytime a Canadian PWHL team plays... Yeah, he was a legend. We love everyone at Pizza. And anytime a Canadian PWHL team plays, you can score free delivery with code PWHLDEL at Pizza. Okay, our headlines. The PWHL celebrating Pride this month. Tessa, I'm sporting my Aaron Ambrose Pride shirt. I'd like to... Wait, this is another public apology tour that I owe. I think 2 weeks ago I said that the stuff that CCM sent us recently was from Aaron's new line. It's not. I lied about that too. This is from last year. So this is just more stuff from last year's line. There is a new line dropping, but the new stuff won't drop till May. Aaron texted me. She's like, you don't have the new stuff. I don't even have the new stuff yet, you idiot. And I'm like, oh God. I have to read emails better. I'm just throwing myself under the bus today. I will be organized this week, guys, after this public apology tour I'm doing. Love this Pride shirt. I absolutely love the Pride logo that the PWHL released as well. The Unity Game logo was designed by Hamilton, Ontario-based artist Eli, queer and transgender creative whose work is deeply rooted in themes of identity, resilience, and self-expression. The logo is so great. It's playful. It has so much symbolism in it.
Everybody's like, you got to throw that on a sweatshirt. And I was like, I 100% would wear that on a sweatshirt or a tee. Like, that looks great. So I hope, the league doesn't drop the ball on that one and just start slapping that logo everywhere because it's great.
I was poking around on it. You could buy the t-shirt in Venue this month. Nice. I didn't read specifically about sweaters, but I know that there is merch with this logo available on it in Venue. So make sure you guys are getting your butts in seats and getting yourself some Pride merch this month as the PWHL is celebrating. Get to our first game this week, Tessa. Montreal Boston. Oh my gosh. Will Montreal and Boston ever have a game that does not go to extra time? No, they absolutely will not.
Better yet, will Montreal and Boston will Montreal and Boston ever have a game that's not full-blown Game 7 playoff-esque?
It always feels that way. And I love
does.
it. And it's crazy that Hadley Hartmuth's just had to like be airdropped into that. Shout out to her first PWHL game. You ready for this? Welcome to like a big league brawl in the PWHL between Montreal and Boston, two teams that do not like one another. Activated off the LTIR, makes her PWHL debut. Ohio State alumni, Tessa. She transferred to Ohio State from BC in the midst of her college career. I love that Boston had her do a rookie solo lap. I hope this becomes a thing. It's been hard the last couple of years because everybody's been a rookie. But I love the way Boston had her out there, buckets off, doing a rookie lap. I thought it was really cool.
I thought it was awesome and cool for her too, right? What a good memory. And those are the moments you hope that her family was there to see it. And if not, whatever, it's the experience that matters. But I hope she enjoyed her game. She didn't play a ton of minutes, and I understand why. Because like you said, this style of game or this type of game between these two teams is no joke. And, you just want to kind of ease yourself into things. And obviously she was off the LTIR. She had hurt her knee back with Ohio State. So she was just recovering and getting back to good. So nice to see her get in the lineup and get some reps in. More to come from her, I am sure.
Totally. And Soderberg gets her first win of the season. She's been knocking on the door too, Tessa. I know she got, I think, 4 wins last season for PWHL Boston. She was great in this game.
Okay. I love, like, what a good first win to get. 1, Boston right now, I'm loving all of it. But 2, the fact that your backup ahead of Worlds as well plays like that. Like right off the bat, I want to say within the first 5 minutes, she made 2 like 10 bell saves on Marie-Philippe Poulin, like back to back. And I was like, okay, here we go. And it's like, you want a goaltender like her to go in and play that way because you don't want Frankel to feel like she's always has to continually carry the load, although I'm sure she's very happy to. But for Soderberg to get this, like, what a vote of confidence. And even for the team, like you saw her after the win when she walked off the ice, they were all cheering, giving her like shoulder pad taps. Everyone was screaming, yelling for her, which was awesome. But it was just a hard fought win for herself. I didn't feel like there was a lull or any weak goal in her game. There was no weak goals in this entire game. They were all beautiful goals, might I add. Like all of these goals were sick.
Yeah.
Like shootout even. I was just like, oh my gosh, this game had it all. It was fun. It had that, like we said, that playoff feel. And it definitely didn't disappoint. And everybody that attended this game definitely got their money's worth. 100%. Coming in, you got to think too, like this is in Boston, right? Montreal's 6 points away from clinching a playoff spot. So it's like they want to win outright. And they also just want to win outright against this team at any time because there is no love lost between these two. And so to see them go in this, have that the battle like they did, and then to see Desbiens go down, it's kind of like, oh my gosh. Like, what is going on in the goaltender world right now? Because I'm sure Gina Kingsbury and Troy Ryan fell out of their chairs when they saw this, as you did. You were watching this game. I was actually playing with the Shirley's Girlies. You had messaged me. You're like, who's going to play goalie for Team Canada? I'm like, Desbiens. Why? And you're like, no, she just went down. I was like, oh my gosh.
I know. That was such a hilarious. You like called me on your way to hockey, and I thought that's why you were calling me. And I was like, dude, who's going to play for Canada? You were like, Desbiens. I was like, no. I have bad news. That's not going to happen either. I don't think. Actually. I haven't heard anything about Desbiens. I don't want to put out there.
There has been no updates. Just hoping that it's not as bad as initially thought. And I mean, there's still time, right? There's a couple weeks till things get rocking and rolling. So if it's just rest and rehab, great. That's awesome. Because Julie stepped in seamlessly. I felt it was like, cool. There was no... It didn't feel like Montreal changed their style of game with her back there. It was still just like pedal to the metal. This was like up and down the ice, offensive, physical, playoff hockey. And it was just such a good game. I don't even, I keep saying this. I know, I'm sorry. But if you haven't watched this game, please go back and watch it. It was so good.
Yeah.
There's only one thing I have to say, Julia. I got a bone to pick with, the entire league. But I have yet to see a 5-on-3 that I like.
Yeah.
I'm always like, is this just not practiced? Or like, are you guys overthinking this? I'm not sure. If I were a coach and I was running a 5-on-3, I would run it behind the net. Everyone does the up top to download the cross seam. And do you know where I'm coming from here? If you run it from behind the net,
like let me visualize it.
Same setup. So you got your 2 at the top, you got a player in the middle, like 5 on a die.
Yeah.
Except instead of running it from the top, you run it from behind the net. So the goalie is constantly.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And the players are constantly looking south, right? So they're looking below the defenders, are looking below the goal line. And it's a quick pop out up high to one of the top players who can then just fire off a bomb, or it's just a quick chip to the middle, the player in the middle. Just my thought. If anybody wants to try this and run with it, go ahead. But when you have players.
Free advice. If you guys are intrigued.
Dude, yes. And you saw Darryl Watts in that Wisco National Championship goal score like that. There's opportunity for that.
Yeah.
Ask any goalie. What a nightmare setup that would be.
Just having players behind you. Yeah, it's such a good idea, honestly. Okay, free advice, guys. If you guys are listening to Jocks and Gels on this fine Friday.
But
and
outside of that,
5-on-3
love
advice.
that. Yeah, outside of that, love that entire game.
So dope. Hillary Knight leads league in scoring again. It's so awesome. Like, this was such a recipe Boston game. Like, they get great goaltending. Susanna Tapany gets a shootout winner because that's just like something that happens all the time. It feels like.
Yes.
Maybe it feels that way because we saw her do it in Seattle. I don't know. I saw a stat that said that was her second shootout winner of the year, but I feel like it was her third. I don't know.
I don't know if it's a shootout winner, but she's scored. I think it's her third or fourth game winner of the year. But I kept checking that.
But maybe
and
a save had to be made, so it doesn't count officially as like a shootout. I don't know. But it feels like she's been clutching a lot of big moments in this season. Huge. Not just specific to shootouts, but shootouts have been a big part of it. And then Hillary, side note, Susanna Tapany's regulation goal was disgusting. Like, it was such a nice goal. I don't know if it was bar down, but it was like twine.
Yeah.
Like top corner. It was beautiful. Like, she has a really nice release. And you could kind of see the ringette in her when she plays hockey, eh? Like, I notice it more and more the more I ISO her. And the more, like, when she takes shots like that, there's something just ringette like about it. I don't know if I'm just placing that on her because I know that she plays ringette, and that's in my head a little bit.
She's cruising. Hillary's cruising. I love.
Oh, Hillary was so dominant in this game. Like, her shootout was so good too.
Also gross. Just a clapper. I love. I was like, oh, no, she's not going to do that.
That's so nails. And Hillary's such a imposing physical presence. Like, imagine being one of the young girls in the league and seeing her do that. It'd be like, oh my God, what am I to do? I'm just a girl.
Don't want to follow that up.
Yeah.
But it's nice. I also like the look of Boston's power play. Sydney Morin running that thing. It just felt so smooth and nothing was forced, and everything was just fluid and constantly moving. The puck retrieval was great. Boston is legit peaking at the right time.
Yeah.
And we talked about this a little bit yesterday when we were hanging out. You're like, Hillary is on fire right now. And like, she is used to peaking this time of year.
So true.
This is World's time. So every player that has played on a national program is used to having their game really hit its peak right now. So I feel like their body is just like, oh, it's this time of year, like time to really get going here. And it's showing in the league, and it is like fun to watch.
It's a great time to be watching women's hockey right now. PWHL's ramping up. This playoff race is insane. But there's also that little bit of, just from talking to, like, when I was around the rink yesterday and when I was in the rink last week, people do not want to leave their business for that last week of the season. Like, everyone wants to be, and it's not going to be possible for everyone, obviously, in that last week of the season after Worlds happens. Like, there's going to be teams who are going to have their playoff hopes hanging in the balance in that week. But that's a major emphasis right now. Like, we don't want to go to Worlds not knowing what's going on in the postseason. We want our ticket punched, because you don't know what you're going to look like after Worlds. Like, you could be a little bit beat up.
And that's just it. So I wouldn't want to leave it either. So what? Montreal's got like 5 points left to get to clinch a spot, I guess.
Yeah, 5 or 6.
Right. They went in with 6, needing 6. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see teams turn it up even more so. And then New York, Toronto on Wednesday night. Noel signed a 10-day SPA before this game. Bernard stepped in before that. So New York trying to keep fresh legs on the ice at all times. And you can understand that.
Totally. And I think keeping, fresh legs and then players kind of in that mix of like playing, right? Getting those reps in, those games in, like you said, keeping everybody fresh, because you want to talk about teams that need to make a push or teams that need to dial it in. New York is one of those teams. So I felt like they came out playing like that this was a hard fought game on their part. They just happened to come up short. There was nothing to hang their heads on there. Toronto just stayed in the fight with them. And to be honest, Toronto was
I thought they could have started a little hotter though. Like New York started a little flat for me for like how desperate they should have been, but it's so tough on the road. Like I don't want to be too critical because like you said, they did have a really strong game.
Totally. They're coming up against a rested team. The last time Toronto played was on March 9th, right? So who's going to have the jump? I mean, I get it that there's no excuses. You're a pro, you should do this, but like Toronto's pretty well rested and that's a pretty heavy hitting team. So I know then you got players like Watts, who's fired up. She scores too. She's another player heating up at the right time. Like, my gosh. Well, are we going to take credit for her 2 goals because we had her on the pod?
It's so cheesy totally talked her up. But I'm like, kind of like, yeah, we have to, right?
We got an
cheesy,
assist.
But like, we'll give ourselves a little pat for that. Whatever.
Yeah,
the only thing athletic I do is go to Pilates at 4:00 every day. So I'll take that athletic accomplishment.
Yeah, we'll take an assist on at least one of those goals. But
they were sick too. Like neither of them were like they were both Daryl Watts goals, beauties.
Yeah, typical. So she's cruising at the right time here. And then Carp obviously getting on the board for New York. You just expect her every game to at least get some type of contribution on the score sheet, whether it's a goal or an assist. But I feel bad for New York falling short in that one. Looking absolutely pissed off as she gets it, but that's fine. She'll put it up anyways, and we love her for it. I'd be worried if she's looking happy. I'd be like, what's going on? The world's ending.
I agree. Actually, that leads us to Sarah Fillier, because Sarah Fillier was pissed off last night. Wednesday night too. She was pissed off. She was. Yeah. That was kind of a bad... I didn't really like that slashing penalty she took on Flanagan, though. It was just too blatant at such a pivotal time of the game. Like, if she wasn't going to get the first chop on Flanagan, she was going to get the second one. Like, just didn't feel really necessary to me. And she was the only one that went to the box. It's 2-1 at that point. Like, I didn't love that from her. I know she's a rookie. She's frustrated with learning, but I didn't love that. Totally. I mean, you got to know where you are on the clock. And there's other ways to play chippy and physical like that. I mean... Oh, yeah. I loved giving it to people secretly and quietly. You know, the blatant wide open ones is just straight up. That's just frustration and emotions boiling over. And like, you know, she's a rookie in the league, but she's not a rookie. You know what I mean? Yeah, she's a very experienced player. So I think that her emotions just got the worst over there. And she got dumped too. Monroe came right in and was like, nope. And just like plowed her over. I was like, okay, this game is getting real chippy. Like, that was a fabulous PWHL moment. Comes in and defends her girlfriend. Bowls over. Don't do that. Don't do that. People are loving it on Twitter. Yeah, I was just hoping that Philly would get some kind of goal just to extend her goal streak. She had 5 consecutive games with goals. She set a PWHL record. Comes to an end. All good things do. But Philly really playing like she wants some playoff hockey and like really leading the charge on that. You know, as a rookie in the league, I respect that. Yeah, I was looking at her to have a Marie-Philippe Poulin moment like at Worlds last year when Pooh was standing in the box looking like there was smoke and demons coming out of her ears and coming out and scoring immediately. That's what I was expecting Fillier to do. And honestly, I'm sure that's how she'll come out against Ottawa this weekend. Yeah. Tough one for New York there. Like you said, they played really well, but ultimately they are unable to get the win. So something I was thinking about during this game. Or any points. Yeah, that's unfortunate. And that was a tough part about their losing streak too, that they didn't pick up many like overtime or shootout points or anything like that. Yeah, they only had 3, I think. Well, we'll see how she goes for New York. Huge one this weekend against Ottawa. I was thinking during this Scepter Sirens game though, so if Anne-Renee Desbiens cannot play at Worlds, and we don't have confirmation on that yet, we do have confirmation that Emirates Mashmeyer is not going to play at Worlds. Did this game feature Canada's top 2 goalies in Schroeder and Soupy? And maybe even Reagan Kirk on the bench? Like, can we extend to 3? Totally. I would have Schroeder as my starter, I think. And then the backup position would just be battled out between Kirky and Campbell, I think. But if, in my personal opinion, if that were the case, then those would be my 3 tendies. Easy, without a doubt. I got to do a nice event before the game. We were in an AWS suite. A few Scepters players came up and met some people. I was there meeting people. Chelsea Purcell from the marketing team was there meeting people, and they had Gina up for a couple minutes. And I'm exposing Gina a little bit right now, but this is a hilarious moment I had to tell a little bit about. There was obviously, it was a beautiful suite. There was drinks flowing. Gina was having a little glass of red. And I was like, Gina, you preparing to watch the Goalies tonight? And she was like, stop. No, it's not the time for that. But it must be a stressful scenario that she's in right now. So
soon.
Yeah, literally too soon. So sorry, Gina, for that. This was a great game, though. We were talking about Sarah Fillier. She has been as promised this season for New York. Even if the season hasn't gone as promised, she really wants to play playoff hockey. Here's Emma Buckles telling us why we also want to see her play playoff hockey.
Are the scores in this one? New York has been held off the board. Here's Fillier. Oh, what a snipe! Top corner, first shot of the third, and New York has life. It's 3-1.
What is going on, everybody? I'm Emma Buckles, and this is Break It Down with Buckles, where I discuss and showcase why these are the greatest players in the world. Today, we're talking about Sarah Fillier. She was the first overall draft pick in this last draft and has been making quite the impact this season so far. When talking about the keys to Sarah Fillier's game, the first thing that comes to mind is her vision and hockey IQ. It's almost as if she sees the game a second ahead, because she always finds the right spots to be in, whether it's a soft area of ice to get a redirection or a tip in, or to even find a teammate for a grade A scoring chance. And with this vision, she has quite the toolbox of skill to tap into. We've seen this on multiple occasions in different highlight reel plays throughout the season, whether it's a saucer pass, whether it's her quick acceleration, and just her general poise with the puck, she's able to execute on what she sees out there. Another key to Fillier's game is just how competitive she is. She is a competitor at heart. You can see this during her game, whether it's her scoring a goal and just the passion that she has out there, and even how relentless she is during net front battles. She will not settle for anything less than a win. When thinking about Fillier, a key to her game is her shot. She has an unbelievable shot. Her shot release is so quick, it catches D and goalies off guard all the time, as well as it's so accurate. Shots that seem impossible aren't for Fillier. You'll see her capture shots from the goal line and some pretty crazy angles. Fillier and her momentum is going to be huge here for the Sirens and their playoff push. Watch them take on the Charge this Saturday. It's going to be a really good matchup. Both teams are battling for their playoff spot. We'll see you guys next time. Passing it back to Tessa and Julia.
Thanks, Buckles. Sarah Fillier, one of the best in the world. Honestly, what's better than a great player with a little bit of a pissed off chip on their shoulder? So I'm excited to see Sarah Fillier. Keep going.
If she's named to the Canadian roster, I want to see her play every single game at that World Championship the way she's played her last two games.
Yeah, that's
piss
a
and
great
vinegar.
point.
I want to see it every time, because she needs to be that player for Canada if they want to make a push and a true statement to go back-to-back on gold. IMO.
Yeah, and speaking of back-to-back on gold, the next guest on the Jocks and Jills podcast knows lots about winning gold and creating gold medal teams and being part of them as a player. I love hosting podcasts, Tessa, when we're talking to your former teammates. And this one was even more fun because Gina's someone that I've covered for quite a few years as well. And candidly, when I first started covering women's hockey, like I'm remembering my first women's world championships in like Calgary and being like, oh, Gina Kingsbury, she's so intimidating. And she's like, she's not at all. She's like such a nice lady. Like she's so great at her job too. And like, I was so pleased to have this chat with her. She's so excellent at what she does. Like she's so detail oriented. I'm so impressed with the Toronto Scepter staff. And we've known this about Hockey Canada for a really long time. The due diligence, they always do their due diligence. The women's side is so excellent in the way they run things. And a lot of that obviously is under Gina. So here she is, Gina Kingsbury from Jocks and Jills. Okay, these are some of my favorite chats that we get to have on the Jocks and Jills podcast. I always love, and we always love, of course, having current PWHL players on, current national team players on, but there's something special when I get to facilitate a chat between Tessa Bonham and one of her former teammates. I feel like this one is even going to be more entertaining because this teammate obviously is working at a very high level in women's hockey still, and it's Gina Kingsbury, GM of the Toronto Scepters, Director of Women's Hockey for Hockey Canada. Thanks for hopping on with us today.
Thanks for having me. I'm actually really nervous now that Tessa gets to grill me as a ex-teammate. So my heart rate went up.
It's all good stuff. I know you have just as much ammo on Tessa as you have on her. So you guys could go back and forth.
Fair.
It could be very exciting.
Fair.
We always on this podcast kind of like to start with your roots in hockey and where you grew up. I know you were born in Saskatchewan, but you started playing hockey when your family moved to Quebec?
Yeah, we moved to Quebec when I was 6 months. So as much as I was born in Saskatchewan, I definitely grew up in northern Quebec, Rouyn-Noranda, Quebec, somewhat close to Sudbury. Played every sport possible. Always wanted to become an Olympian in whatever sport it was. Hockey just became a passion of mine. My brother played. All of the guys in the community would play, and I played street hockey. As a really, really young kid, and then all my guy friends would go and get registered for minor hockey. So I asked my parents if I could do that as well. And I was a figure skater, so I knew how to skate, and I loved playing street hockey. So it was a natural mix to try it on the ice. And as soon as I did, I knew that it was my true love, and never looked back. So,
were you the sister that was following the brother around, and he was like, "Man, my sister's playing with us now too"? Was that you?
I bossed him around a little. I was the baby sister that was very bossy and whatnot. So yeah, he had to put up with me for throughout our childhood. So, I played hockey. Like I said, I was really an addict. Street hockey. I would organize tournaments from the whole different streets would come and compete, and I was constantly always orchestrating street hockey games. And summer, spring, winter at -40, school was out. I was out there playing street hockey. So. Really passionate about it, which was
so at a young age, you were dictating your team, okay, guys, this is going out for the first shift. You were GMing as a 6-year-old, basically.
Say. She was building street hockey dynasties from a young age, just putting together the most stacked team.
I look back, and we used to do team pictures. I had to organize the team picture and stuff. So I think I had no idea that I had this in me or in my blood, but I do think I was destined to manage hockey teams just based on those early street hockey days.
Oh, that's funny. So you come by it honestly. You said though you were kind of an Olympics junkie. What other sports really have you captivated when you were young?
I participated in everything. That doesn't mean I was good at anything, but I figure skated, gymnastics, soccer, baseball, tennis, you name it. I played it. I just loved watching the Olympics. I thought, if you could walk into a stadium covered in Canada gear, you were golden. That was a dream come true. So when I actually did get to live it, it was, you had to,
coolest.
I had to pinch myself and go I'm part of this group now. And it's a pretty special thing to accomplish. So I was always and still am. The Paris Olympics, I was glued to my TV all summer, crying every day. It's just there's so much emotion with the Olympics. It's so powerful. Yeah. So to be able to work in the game and to be able to participate at Olympic Games in various roles as an athlete, as a staff member, it's definitely a dream job.
I think for anybody listening who has young kids or kids in the mix right now, I feel like all of these athletes that we talk to that have reached the pinnacle for women, especially it's the Olympics, but now PWHL, they're all athletes. Everybody talks about, what they're not single sport athletes. They've played everything. And it's cross training is probably some of the best things you could do for your kids. So it's cool to hear that you were a stud in all of them. I personally, Gina, I'm not sure if you were like this, but I joined any and every sport I possibly could just for the fact that I could get out of class from time to time.
Same here.
But
I went
you
to
were
St. Lawrence, so same thing.
I don't know, man. Your notes are crazy. If anybody knows anything about Gina Kingsbury, it's we used to be Gina's a little psycho. She took notes that were so neat. First of all, my initial notes are horrible. Gina, your notes were color-coded and stuff. So you were organizing street hockey teams and taking GM notes proper. So I feel like you knew exactly what was up. But for yourself, when did you realize I am really good at hockey?
Oof. I don't know when I realized that. I think, maybe my first camp at Team Quebec. So again, small town, Northern Quebec, played boys hockey growing up. knew that I enjoyed it. I made the all-star teams in my hometown, but I had no idea what that represented across our country, across the board. I went to my first training camp with Team Quebec at 13. So that was U18. And I could keep up and compete with that group and that age group. So I think at that point, I realized that potentially I could make a career out of hockey, not a career in terms of professional, because there was none of that that existed, but that it could be a vehicle to the Olympic Games. So I would say my first Team Quebec camp was when I kind of went, okay, I'm in the mix with the U18s in our province, and I'm only 13. So I probably, I could stick with this, and I might make it to the Olympics one day. So it's probably during that time frame.
Sure as heck did.
Yeah. How did you end up at St. Lawrence? We always love to hear the story of how people end up at their respective colleges and who lost out on the sweepstakes.
Yeah. And like, did you know about the NCAA route? Because we've had players on that are like way more current than us. And they're like, yeah, we had no idea. And I'm like, how did I have an idea? Well, what about you? Because you're in Rouen. Yeah,
I went to prep school for 2 years. So I left home when I was 15 to go to Hotchkiss in Connecticut just because I couldn't play boys hockey anymore, just physicality and all of that. So my parents had to either send me to Montreal to compete in women's hockey, or the other route was prep school at the time, where I would be at a boarding school and be able to continue my studies and as well play on a girls team. So at that point, I got to really understand NCAA and all the options in the different type of schools. And at that school at Hotchkiss, my academic advisor, her dad started the program at St. Lawrence. So I promised her that I would at least put St. Lawrence in one of my official visits. But at the same time, I think I had no idea what I wanted. And St. Lawrence was probably low on my priority list. And I went through all of my official visits and had a lot of fun on those official visits. Tessa, you would know. And St. Lawrence was the last one. And I went to St. Lawrence, and there was just something about the small school, the small field, the personal touch with everything, and the lack of pressure. Like I felt like every other school put a lot of pressure on me signing there. In St. Lawrence, basically, Paul Flanagan was the head coach at the time. Before I left, he shook my hand and said, "Good luck, kid. Hopefully you come to St. Lawrence. If not, wish you all the best." And for some reason, that just was a breath of fresh air of no pressure. I felt that I was really wanted there, but without the pressure. So I chose St. Lawrence, and it was the best 4 years of my life. So I would do it over again. I would go back to St. Lawrence.
Slew. He recruited me as well. He was a really good recruiter, by the way. Like, I was like, this place is pretty cool. And then I went and visited. I'm like, a little too small for me. I need to like disappear somewhere.
Yeah, you wouldn't have survived there. That was too small for you, for sure.
And you guys had a really cool barn. Like the rink you played in was really cool. Julie, I don't know if you've ever seen it, but like in St. Lawrence, for the people that haven't visited, it's like this wooden like palace, and it's not like your prototypical seats. Like it's really got like a comfy, cozy, like homey feel to it. The one game I went to go watch, I'm not even sure if you were playing. Gina, you would have been playing. Digit Murphy was coaching Brown. You guys were playing against Brown, and she hucked a water bottle across the ice at the ref.
I remember that game.
Whoa. Yeah.
You were there,
awesome.
Tessa? That's so epic.
Yeah.
I've definitely seen video, like photos of that barn. It's legendary.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so awesome.
There's a soul to it. Like that's how I describe it. You walk in and there's history. There's a smell to it. There's the lighting. Everything is just so unique and really powerful. Like it is one of my favorite rinks that I've had the opportunity to visit or play in. And there's just something about Appleton that's really special. So, and they remodeled it. They did some rentals, and they kept the same bowl, the wooden bowl. It's almost like church. You're going in like it's wooden seats, and it's dark. It's just there's just something there. So
hockey rink.
You got
royalty.
me excited. You got me excited just thinking about Appleton. Yeah.
Is there games other than like Digit Murphy hucking a water bottle that stand out to you from college? Like specific ones that stand out?
That one was pretty. That one was pretty big. Asking me my college games that stand out. That one was obviously a big one because it wasn't the first. Like she chucked a water bottle, but she was yelling the entire game. There was a lot going on that game. I'm not one to remember a ton of specifics. You can ask me, did we win that game? What was the score? I wouldn't be able to tell you. It's little things that I come back to me and that I remember. Obviously, our participations at the Frozen Four. We were at the inaugural one. We lost to Minnesota Duluth, and I remember just again small school, small feel. It was in Duluth, and their band was there, and we're just like so distracted by it all. But that was Frozen Four games were definitely something that comes back. But it's the little details that come back. It's never big moments. It's just the little things that come back when you're driving and you think of something funny that happened or conversation that you had But yeah, I don't have the best memory, and I don't have a ton of concussions, so I can't even blame it on that. I do not have a good memory. So, yeah.
That's fair. We won't hold that against you.
Good.
And then you started to, Hockey Canada started sniffing around. And one of my favorite Gina Kingsbury stories, and I don't want to rush through your hockey career because it does play a part, but I do want to get to Gina, the GM at some point. But one of my favorite Gina Kingsbury stories is, and I can totally relate because your first Worlds that you go to, for you, it was 2001.
I know exactly what you're going to say. Yeah.
And so, like, you're a rook. You're about to hit the pinnacle. You're making your way. It's right before 2002, and there's a lot of nerves. People will play it off sometimes, like, "No, I wasn't nervous." Like, you're full of crap. I'm sorry. Gina always in warmups, backwards hat. Gina, that's game face. She had her headphones in. Gina was doing her warm up, high socks, whatever. That's Gina. And you can take the story from here, Gina. What happened at your first Worlds and one of your games, and lasted a whole period?
I was shitting my pants. I can tell you that for sure. I still don't know how this actually happened because it's again, I'll tell this story. I still don't know how that happened. So I kept my hat backwards. I usually played with a bandana so that my hair didn't go on my face. And so I think it was Savejo that was coaching the team at that time and came in, did her pregame speech. Again, first game at Worlds. Tessa said it perfectly. I was completely dialed in, shitting my pants. Like, this is exactly me. So she comes in, does her speech. I put my helmet, take my headphones off, obviously during the speech, put my helmet on, thinking that I had my bandana on, but it was my actual hat. And it was backwards. So there's a blue bib. It was blue as well. There's a blue bib that would stick out of the back of my helmet. And the whole first period, Corinne Braden, who was my line mate, just was laughing the entire game. And I kept on looking at her like, be serious here. Like, it's our first World Championships. Like, what are you doing? Like, and she could not even phrase, she couldn't even say anything on the bench to me. And finally, she's tears in her eyes, crying. She's like, "You have your hat on underneath your helmet, you idiot." I was like,
Did you mean the whole period?
The whole period, the whole first period. I was like, I didn't even take it off when she said it. I'm like, oh God, I actually do. So
I play pretty good now. You don't want to change anything,
I still don't know how my helmet fit my head. I don't understand how that worked, but yeah, that was definitely
that's the craziest
an
thing.
embarrassing moment.
Even the button at the top.
I have a beanie head. My helmet's super tight. I have no idea how that actually fit, and I had no idea. I had when she told me, I had zero idea. It was So now
does it maybe speak to what an out-of-body experience it is to play for Team Canada for the first time? You don't even feel like you're in your body in the first place. How are you supposed to feel a hat on your head?
Exactly. And I was, Tessa described it. I was so in my head as a young player, and definitely that would have been something I wouldn't even have noticed because I was just so nervous. I was like, holy shit, I'm here playing for Team Canada. And put my hat on.
Is that
backwards.
Is that when the Gina Kingsbury diet started for everybody? Gina was like a twig when she played. She was so teensy.
I
we had a dietitian.
I wish I still had that.
I gladly do the Gina Kingsbury diet nowadays.
Yeah,
is that when it started in 01?
I think it started a little later than that. Yeah, but It was 5 more bites was the diet. So I was trying.
You're full.
I was trying desperately to put on weight. So I was on 2 or 3 Gatorade shakes, those chocolate shakes that were about 1,500 calories. I would have about 4 of those a day. And every meal, it was 5 more bites. And so it was, I would love to have that problem now. I definitely don't. But it was a challenge for me to put on weight and keep weight on.
That's such a good way to just summarize it. The whole trying to put on weight, just 5 more bites. That's the diet.
5 more bites,
dude.
Yeah.
It's
Doesn't
so
matter
relatable.
what, ice cream, chocolate, just put on weight.
Eat it.
Yeah, eat it.
So
And it's funny that you mentioned
eat till
those.
you're full and you just go 5 more bites.
That's it.
5 more bites. Yeah.
But
Nice.
Julia, she was having a meal with her meal. I also was put on the Gina Kingsbury diet at one point where you had to have like some kind of heavy shake with every meal. So you're having double meals every time. And like as an athlete, when you're in that program, you literally wake up, eat, work out, eat, have a little nap, maybe eat, go train, eat, and then have another meal before bed. So you were like, the amount of calories, I can't even imagine what we were burning through. It's insane.
Yeah. Especially at boot camp. I can tell you that. I go back to boot camp.
It's hilarious you brought that up.
Those were insane. Those weeks were, I don't know how we survived, but we did. But we did.
We wanted to talk about boot camp and you led us right there. Like I love hearing Becky Keller and Tessa and like Cheryl Pounder talk about boot camp. There's a few stories that I've heard that are amazing to me, but I know I kind of put you on the spot with asking specific memories about games, but I'd imagine boot camp is hard to forget for you. Like even if you have a bad memory, the boot camp memories would be burned into your brain, right?
There's nothing in my life that I've done that's harder than boot camp. So I feel like it's like a rite of passage. And it really, I think that was the purpose. Now that I see kind of a little bit behind the scenes, I think it was challenge us in every capacity, mentally, physically, every capacity possible. At some point, the group will unite and hate everyone else but themselves and each other and stick together and feel like, we've passed the impossible together and then we can accomplish anything. But the boot camps, I felt they got tougher and tougher. 2002 was a tough one. 2006 was really tough. And then I thought 2010 was crazy. Every day I thought, and I was in fairly really good shape. That was something that I was actually good at, was the off ice component. And every day I was like, I don't know if today is the day where I'm going to quit. I don't know if I can do it anymore. It was tough, but it was fun. It was, you look back, we laugh about boot camp and we talk about boot camp a lot. So
pushed to the brink.
What was so hard about the 2010 one?
I don't even know where to start. I just feel like every boot camp, like they just upped their game. Like they almost had to outdo the last one. So 2010, we went to Tumbler Ridge for, I think 4 days. It was like we slept in these wooden cots, like no mattress or anything, or that's what I remember. I made that up.
We did. We had a sleeping bag.
Sleeping bag, and you're on a plywood. So you weren't getting a good night's sleep. You weren't getting, food wise. Like it just felt like nothing was ideal from a high performance perspective. And we had to run up a mountain, and we had a couple guides, I remember. And I remember being at the front and following this guide. And I just kept on like, follow his heels. And like, I don't know how we got through that. I think it was like 10K up a mountain. And then the next day would be, a 20K run and, bikes. And it was nonstop in conditions that were probably less than ideal. But yeah, no, it was intense. It was mentally draining. It was challenging in all aspects.
We went to Tumbler Ridge for the last 4 days of this, Julia. And to get there, they made us bike there. So we were biking up and down through these hills, okay? In groups of, I think, 6, right, G?
You tell me.
And oh my gosh. And it was insane. So we biked probably maybe almost 100 clicks that day. Like it was a lot to get there. And then when we got there, we had like, I'm pretty sure it was like orange slices and like stuff to cook on a fire. We were like, we are starving. Can we have a roast beef meal? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
They're like, okay, go in the water. It's freezing for an ice bath after all that biking. I remember being like, this is where we all die. This is the moment. And I don't know if you remember, G, but they brought us to a golf course and they made us do a speed round, a competition for the last day.
Yeah.
Everyone was allowed one club and you had to go as fast as you could and with the fewest amount of strokes as possible. So everyone had a driver, some type of wedge.
18 holes?
Yeah, running this beautiful course. We were like demolishing it. And at the end, who was the doctor? Norris? Everybody had one and you're a team of 3. So one had a driver, one had a wedge, putter.
Got it.
Who was the doctor? I forget his name. It was Dr.
Norris, Steve Norris. It was a physiologist.
Yes. So he was the one, Julia, that designed this boot camp, this death camp, I will call it. And at the end, he was like, I'm not going to lie to you. Like the Olympics in Canada, do you remember this, Gina? The Olympics in Canada are probably the hardest thing that you're ever going to run into. So we set this camp up for all of you to fail. And not one of you did. And so you've already accomplished the impossible. So Vancouver's a breeze. And he like implanted that thought in our brain heading to Van that like nothing's going to stop us. And like, I feel like we went through like, obviously you can imagine you got 27 women living together, going through all these experiences that for the most part weren't fun. And, but we made fun of it. And we all kind of had those to lean on and laugh on. I remember after he said it, I was like, holy shnikey, like that was wild. And then in my head, I'm like, okay, you have a month and a half to recover from this and then it's go time.
And it wasn't much easier during centralization. Like I felt like it was hard. That whole year was hard. I just recently got interviewed from the Olympic Channel, and they were talking about 2010 and how easy it was for us. And the thing that people don't understand is the work that is put in before that gold medal game that everybody gets to watch and embrace and cheer us on. The work that gets put in before, if only people knew that, Canada just doesn't win gold medals, just winning gold medals. There's so much time and dedication and craziness that happens before that puck drops on gold medal day. That puts us in a position to be prepared to do what we do. And I felt like 2010, we were as prepared as I've ever seen a group be prepared. Ever. And there was nothing that was going to stop us in 2010. And
no, the only way we were losing was if we were beating ourselves, truly.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, it even the plan during the games, like, we're going to the aquarium, but we played boys teams throughout the Olympic Games. I don't know if that's secret.
Yeah, we had secret games. We did. We had secret games. I forgot about that.
Oh, that's the one thing that I go back and I think, Mel was a genius at that time. And maybe at the time we thought it was crazy, but we took a sneaky bus outside of the village because you were allowed to do this, but it was probably frowned upon in a sense because you have the home advantage of being in Canada, and we bused to Burnaby and locked the rink. The parents of the boys team that we played were able to be in the rink, but the rink was locked, so no media, no one could come. And we played I think it was 3 games against boys teams throughout the Olympics, just before the gold medal games, so that we would raise our game to another level. And that we would be better prepared than the Americans when the puck dropped. And we got out to an early start as well, right? Like an early lead. And I think it made the difference in the end. So,
totally.
For that, Mel was a genius in terms of getting us ready to be at our best.
I totally forgot about that.
That's
great.
Totally forgot
I remember
about
something that you don't. That's good.
Yeah.
My memory's back. Yeah.
Honestly, Gina, I feel like that kind of leads us to talking about you as a GM, because the thing you hear about Toronto is how well prepared your staff is, how organized your staff is, how much video you guys do. Just say you guys are working around the clock to be prepared. Have you digitized your color-coded, very organized notes? Like, how is your organization and your prep? Okay, no, you're still an analog.
She's like you.
Very, very.
So am I. Gina, I'm exactly the same. I like writing stuff down. I like highlighters. I get excited in September when it's time to buy my highlighters.
Yeah, same here. Same here.
How much about preparation? Like you were talking about how much preparation goes into a game. How much did you not know about preparation when you were a player? Like how much did you have to learn when you transitioned into?
Yeah,
Mel's role.
Yeah,
you took over for Mel.
I know, which I still can't believe. Those are big shoes to fill for sure. I didn't know much, to be honest with you. I obviously, as athletes, we know what we know from an athlete's perspective, and from the other side, it's crazy the amount of hours our staff put in, the details they bring, the expertise that they bring to the table, and I think taking over for Mel, I was extremely concerned because Mel is has a wide experience in so many different fields, obviously as an Olympic coach. So understands the coaching field, has her hand in everything. She understood the strength and conditioning side, all the aspects. So when asked to take on the program as GM, I was like, there's no way I can fill those shoes. But I took the challenge, and I certainly surrounded myself with incredible people. The staff have, really elevated our program to a whole other level. And it's the people that are in those roles, coaching, strength coach, medical, they run our program. So we are very detailed. We are very prepared, but it all comes with the expertise that are around the table and providing them the space to bring their best. And we've got some pretty high performing staff members across our Canadian team, but also here in Toronto. So pretty lucky to work with who we get to work with.
When you took over for Mel, what was the number one thing as a former player? I know you had your hand in coaching a little bit, but what was the number one thing that you realized, oh my gosh, I wish I knew this as a player. I would have been more appreciative, or, at least had a different point of view on things that Mel was doing?
Yeah, Mel or coaches in general, I think as athletes, we compare ourselves with others a lot. And, we think if we don't make a team, it's because, we've done something wrong or not good enough. When in all reality, making teams is very challenging, and it is definitely a puzzle. And sometimes you could do everything right as an athlete and put yourself in the best position to make a team. And in the end, you select another style of player that fits the puzzle better for what you're trying to accomplish as a team. So, as an athlete, you never think of it that way. You just think, I wasn't good enough, or I need to be better at this. And in all reality, that's not how teams are built or made. So I wish I knew that as an athlete, because I feel like I would be maybe less stressed and just focus on what I can bring to the table and enhance the skills that I can bring, versus worrying about the things that I can't bring, like physicality and eating 5 more bites so I can gain 20 pounds and be a bruiser in the corners. But I think that's probably the biggest reality check is, when you're building teams, it is a puzzle, and you're going to leave some pretty talented players off the roster. And it's not a knock on them. It's a puzzle that you're trying to build. And if I knew that as an athlete, I think I would have more sleep. I would have slept better, I think, and been less stressed.
Yeah, it's hard when things are just out of your hand sometimes, no matter what, but you definitely get a better perspective of that from the position you're in now. Obviously, you hired Troy as head coach with Hockey Canada. You have the opportunity to work together again with the Scepters. Why do you guys work so well together? Why are you such a good team?
Yeah, I think our values are pretty similar in a lot of aspects. I think we're both very competitive and hard workers. I think the people aspect of what we do, we have a great understanding of what teams needs is often just the ability to voice their opinions, to share ownership. Troy is very connected with the athletes, and coming from an athlete background myself, it's something that I really appreciate. That it's not a coach that dictates what we're going to do. He's a collector of information. He collects from his athletes, from staff, from everyone around, and formulates his decisions based on what's best for the people around. And, I find myself in a very similar kind of approach and perspective. So I think from that perspective, we're pretty similar. So I think we work really well together on that side of things. And yeah, I think he's an outstanding coach.
Now, heading in, the PWHL gets launched. You're heading into your first ever draft, because technically you've never drafted. You've just really looked at a pool of players and picked your squad and went about it that way. So how did you approach that? Was it overwhelming? Was it stressful? Because there was a large pool of players, but really you had no clue outside of your 3 players that you signed what was going to be available to you. So what was the vision or the puzzle that you were trying to build? I guess your team identity. What did you guys decide on?
Yeah, for sure. I think the 3 players that you sign right off the bat were critical. I really, I'll always remember that day. We had 1 day to basically call all these athletes and convince them to sign in Toronto or Montreal or whoever the GM was in the locations. And that one was, it was calculated. It was very stressful because I knew all these players very well. There's a lot of athletes that wanted to be in Toronto. So it was also difficult to kind of navigate through that. But it was really important to build Toronto with some character and some leadership. whoever we brought in, these 3 players would be kind of the pillars of our team. So who can showcase our values and, what we want to try to bring from a professionalism to the organization to the type of people we are in the community on and off the ice. So those 3 people were really important to us, and we were really excited about who we were able to lock in those 3 positions. And then we knew that we were drafting second, and, Taylor Heisey was likely going to go number 1. So we technically had 4 to pick from in some ways or another. So, we looked at positions, we looked at wanting to make sure that we were as solid as we could be. But the character and the leadership was very, very important to us at the start. And then the rest of the rounds, obviously, we were making sure that we were filling, the holes in positions, and that we were, strong not only in the front but on the backside, and getting a goaltender that we were also comfortable with. But it was exciting. It was exciting to go through a draft. You dream of it. I obviously did it probably as a street hockey guru that I was. I'm sure I did a draft as well. But it was really neat. It was great. And it was super stressful. I remember being like, I didn't eat that whole morning, and I was pretty, I felt a little weak towards the end of that draft, but it was exciting. It was exciting to look at the 15 athletes that we had at the end of that day and go, here we go. This is our team. So it was a pretty cool experience to go through.
You didn't even hit the snack table, eh?
We did. Was a good snack table too, I have to say. I was there. I made a couple boxes.
We asked for some food, and whoever was helping our table just brought us like donuts and all sugar, and it was just at our table. And I was like, this looks so bad. Just donuts everywhere. And
now I haven't been fed, and there's a bunch of donuts in front of me. This is worst case scenario.
It was neat. It was really cool. And then this past draft, it's a whole other experience. Now you've got a team. Now you've got to look at future. You've got to look at, again, how other teams are kind of building their squads. And it's a pretty neat experience to go through, and you get excited. You've got some doubts. You've got some excitement. You're unsure of some things. It's a really cool experience to go through for sure.
The other cool thing about last year that people have been bringing up a little bit recently is the playoff format. You guys had the opportunity to select Minnesota in the semifinals last year. What went into that choice now in hindsight? Obviously, it's so hard.
And be honest,
up being Walter Cup champions. Like, they're such a good team from the get. What went into the choice?
Yeah, we considered everything. We looked at it from all different angles. We debated it a long time. We asked our athletes who they were more comfortable playing. We considered, and to be honest with you, the league was so close that there wasn't a sure vote on who to go with. So, but you could look at it from so many different angles. You may want the tougher opponent right off the bat because you're fresher. Like, you may want the travel is a big thing. We traveled really well, so we felt the flight was, still, something that we could manage versus a 6-hour bus we couldn't pick Montreal, but, the travel to Boston. And, Minnesota was on a bit of a downslide. I think they had lost five in a row. We felt that, that was probably, something that we could take advantage of. We knew they're a strong team. There's no doubt. We didn't pick them thinking that we were going to steamroll them at all. But in the end, you're kind of, we knew Boston and Montreal would be a bloodbath. So if we got through the first round, likely that team would be banged up, and it would have been really tough the way they played all year. So all of those factors kind of came into play on us picking Minnesota. And we don't regret picking Minnesota, even though it didn't work out for us in the end. It was just, you had to pick one. And, I think there was not an easy opponent to pick for sure.
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know. I mean, you look how all the teams did. Like, I don't think anybody expected Boston to do what they did to Montreal that year. And even what they did with Minnesota all the way through. I mean, they pushed the distance so it's like, and we say it all the time, it's so cliche that playoffs is a different beast. But I'm sure that playoff experience, as well as your regular season experience in the first season, kind of helped you figure out, okay, now we know exactly what we need and exactly what we want entering the second draft, which kind of paints a better picture for yourself and kind of brings your puzzle more into focus.
Yeah, it's still difficult, right? Like, it's still like you're going back to that first draft, the one thing I mentioned, the rest of the team, how we wanted to build. We talked about being really hard to play against. Like Troy's coaching style is definitely I think teams, you would want teams to come into Toronto, go, we got to play Toronto again. Like,
right.
Just not fun. Like, if you're going to steal points from us, you're going to pay a cost for it. And so year one, we definitely lived up to that identity. And not that we didn't want to continue that identity in year two. You end up drafting players that, may fit a little bit of a different style, and you kind of have to fit them in your, in your team, in your puzzle. And because we don't have a farm system where we can start kind of creating this pipeline of athletes and bringing them up and down, it becomes a bit challenging to see how this puzzle comes to life when you already have, 20 or some players already kind of on the roster, and you're just trying to fill kind of the gaps or the holes that you may have in year two. So yeah, it's I forget your question already. I'm just babbling on drafts, but it becomes definitely challenging when you're still picking in character. I do my due diligence before draft and have some pretty long conversations with all of our candidates just to make sure that they're the right fit for Toronto, and that they're going to enjoy the environment that we have here in Toronto, and that they'll flourish under our coaching staff and our staff that we have. And it's a mix of those characters that you try to bring in, but also trying to fill the holes that you may have. And again, trying to get as deep as you can be in all positions, I think is the objective.
Tough, man. I don't know how you do it. There's a lot of moving pieces, but you do it well, G. I'm proud of you. Speaking of moving pieces, now all of a sudden there is no boot camp. These players don't get to experience the hell that we lived. Lucky Ducks. Moving forward, there won't be any centralization. This season will be how you decide to pick your Olympic roster. So I guess game plan wise, like, how much of a wrench does that throw in the mix for you? And like, do you prefer it this way, or does this make it harder? Because I know that Troy and yourself are big character people, and you need the locker room to be right in order to be successful. So what's the plan moving forward with that?
I think it to me, it excites me. I think I like the fact that it's different. It's a new landscape, and I think it creates opportunities for us to be creative and try to find ways to do it better than other countries, and to get a bit of a leg up for the Olympics. And we don't have centralization, but we do have some training blocks that we have planned to make sure that we come together and we build that camaraderie, and continue to build the culture that we have on our team, which is important, but also find time to connect as a group on and off the ice. When I think of, specialty teams in a short-term events like the Olympics is very important. So how do we make sure that we come together and work on the things that we need to work on, so that when we go back to the PWHL, we still have a good foundation and a good base to go by before heading to the Olympics in February. So we do have a plan in place. We're really excited to execute the plan. I think we have our athletes bought into it. We've got our staff bought into it. And I think it's an opportunity again to be creative and to strategize and to put the pieces together to be in a good position come February. So it looks different, feels different. It's just an opportunity for us to still get the same results out of a different model.
Same results, and no terrifying experience in the woods required. No being chased by a bear required.
Yeah, no.
Still get the team
your
together.
Your life is not threatened at all.
I didn't. Yeah, we actually had to sign, just to end on this, we actually had to sign a waiver saying that we were aware we were entering grizzly bear country, and it was our fault if we got eaten. So we'll just remember that. We're alive.
Yeah,
we're here talking
Gina,
about it.
Let's finish it on this. What would your Toronto Scepters or Hockey Canada girls say to you today if you proposed that sort of boot camp?
I would get fired instantly.
Yeah.
They would just laugh because they would know that I wouldn't have a job the next day. So
but they all have sleep numbers. They need their Tempur-Pedic. They need their Hatch alarm clocks, their sleep sounds. Fair enough.
We did a September camp in a beautiful resort in Nova Scotia. I think it was 2019. And it just happened that there was a storm that came through and there was no power for a couple of days. And I kid you not, some of our players, I thought I was going to get fired on that. It was a beautiful resort. It was I'm like, guys, this is great. This is luxury.
You're controlling the power and the weather.
And it was the world was ending. And I'm like, okay, you would have not survived 2010 Tumbler Ridge. There's not a chance. Those cots, you would have walked right out of there and said, see ya. I don't care about Hockey Canada anymore. I don't want it that badly. Not that badly.
The standards are high now. The girls are pros.
Times have changed. Times have changed for sure.
Yeah. Gina, we know you're busy. You got 2 teams to manage, so we appreciate you doing this. So we're looking forward to cheering you on the rest of the season.
Awesome. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, G. I loved chatting with G. People need to understand, she's salt of the earth, just good people, and just an awesome person in general.
Totally.
And obviously I was trying to get my memory going, calling around, asking people for good Gina stories. And Becky Keller was so Becky would often come have her kids with her when we trained. So we were at boot camp one year and she had her 2 boys there with her, young boys. So we were training. You heard Gina talk about how grueling these days were.
Boot camp.
Legit.
Dude, what was the boot camp that was out in Quebec? You guys had a really funny name for. I wanted to bring it up during the interview.
I don't know. Boot camp out in Quebec that we had a funny name for. Oh, that was 02.
Or maybe it was somewhere out east.
So out east, we were in PEI in 05. 02 is when they were in Quebec at an Army training base. I was not a part of that one. I only had to survive 1, 2, 3 boot camps. But we would train from 7 in the morning until 9:30 at night. And throughout the day, obviously you're exhausted. You get little breaks to go home and eat some food. And Keller said, every time she'd go back, she would play with the kids just to give Keller a break. And, if that doesn't speak volumes about somebody, I don't know what does, especially if you have kids and you understand, especially 2 boys, what it takes to not only go through, a training camp like that, but also have to care for your kids. But I wanted to, I totally forgot to bring it up with Gina. I'm going to find someone else to come on the pod to talk about this. We had Battle of the Border, which was basically when we played out in Calgary together for the Oval Extreme. Minnesota would have a team and Calgary would have a team. And we would recruit a couple players from either our Edmond team like Mick Mickelson, or we'd fly someone in from out east. And we would travel along the border and just visit border cities and play games against each other. And we had Nickelback's bus one year. We were playing
what?
Rock band on the bus. Dude, it was wicked. It was the greatest. We would sleep on the bus, travel to the next location, get off, play, party, get back on the bus. I can't wait to bring someone on to talk about this. That's amazing. It was the greatest.
Nickelback's bus. Wait, are you just comparing it to Nickelback's bus, or was it literally Nickelback's
It was Nickelback's actual bus. We toured on tour buses. It was wicked.
Should let Enzo roll around on Nickelback's bus. Never know what he'll get into on there. So would be floating if he went on Nickelback's bus.
Yeah. So good. It was the best.
Sorry,
Each team had 2 buses. It was awesome. It was the greatest. Anyways, I got to get someone back on to talk about that. But Gina, we love you. Thank you for joining us. You're the best.
Yeah, that was epic. Gina's so generous with her time and her energy. Thank you so much for doing that. Let's get to our FanDuel Friday 5 now.
Woo!
Couple games this weekend, Tessa. We only have odds for 1 so far. New York at Ottawa Saturday. This is a huge game. New York actually favorited by a little bit in this one, -138 on the money line. And we've learned that means you need to bet $138 to win 100. Bettors.
Look at you. You're growing up right in front of me.
I know. Soon I'll just be wandering into the Chino, shooting craps by myself, drinking an old fashioned. No, I'd get a tummy ache if I had an old fashioned. I absolutely couldn't do that. Anyways.
You're hilarious.
Who you feeling on Saturday?
I understand why New York is the favorites in this one, and this is a huge game. This is going to be a hard-fought battle between the two of them. This is going to be run and gun. Ottawa's going to be playing this game really fast. However, I'm going to go New York on this one, just based on how the last game went and how fiery and ticked off the Sirens are going to be heading into this one.
Yeah, I honestly don't see them losing 2 in a row in this stretch. And they seem loose right now, too, is the other interesting thing around about the Sirens, being around them. Such an intense time. They know what's on the line, but the team feels loose. At the same time, though, on the ice, they're pissed off. Like, I feel like it's a lethal combo. They should be
Awesome.
They should come out firing on Saturday. Toronto, Montreal Sunday. I love this matchup so much. I really do.
I'm going to hand this one to Toronto just based solely on the fact that, I mean, I love the way Montreal played against Boston. I just feel like there's so much frustration in that Montreal locker room where, I don't know. I feel like they're all running and gunning the right way. I just feel like something's off. And I like the way Toronto's been playing lately. So I'm going to hand Toronto the win in Laval on Sunday.
Yeah.
Don't hate me, Montreal. Don't hate me. I just think that's the way this is going to go. I think Montreal's really going to have to battle tooth and nail for those last points. Like, I don't think anyone's handing them anything. Like, if they want points, they're literally going to have to go into the octagon and get bloody to get them.
That's the thing about being the best team in the league all season is you're going to get every team's best game every single night. They all want to knock you off the throne. And that's what Montreal has been dealing with here. Might be invigorating for them. I know it's kind of weird and opposite, but sometimes losing your number one goalie like makes you get your back up straight. Everybody play a little bit tighter defensively. So maybe that'll be the case for the Victoire too. We will be in Ottawa on Tuesday, Tessa.
We will.
We're pumped about it. It sounds like we are going to be having a live podcast. Is it Gate 3 test? Right when you walk inside the arena. We'll have more details about that on Tuesday's episode. Follow along our socials as well. We'll post some updates as to where you will be able to find us in Ottawa on Tuesday night. We're real excited about it. We'll also be in Montreal as a little precursor the following Tuesday night for their Pride game. And we are pumped about that as well. Thanks so much to our sponsors for putting on Jocks and Jills as always. Shark Ninja, Pizza, CCM. We love you all. Follow us on socials where you can, guys. YouTube, Instagram, X, TikTok, Facebook, and Blue Sky. Really helps us out when you subscribe in those areas. We do our Send It segment on Tuesdays, so drop us a line on any one of those social medias. Someone recently messaged us about our email. I wasn't checking our email for a few weeks, and I kind of like low-key forgot about it, but we're back checking the email. And I'm going through all the emails, so we'll get back to people. Our email's jocksandjills@gmail.com if you're looking to get a hold of us there. But until then, we love you guys. Enjoy the games this weekend. We'll talk on Tuesday.